I brought a few papers with me today because this is going to be a long session. I'll have you out by 1 o'clock. Last night we had a long session too. I promised we'd be out at midnight. And we were. Today I want to talk about something that is close to all of us. And tomorrow again, and then Friday again. And it kind of summarizes, in a sense, the whole novena that we've been having. And this one begins, I could begin it with the story of Jonah, but I don't want to. Is a reading from the second letter of Timothy. He says, "You can depend on this. If we have died with him, we shall also live with him. If we hold out to the end, we shall also reign with him. But if we deny him, he will deny us. If we are unfaithful, he will still remain faithful, for he cannot deny himself." And so, we're going to be talking about something called faith today. And it's important. And what we're going to begin with is Jesus himself. Jesus lived on the earth, had a mission for about 3 years, and at the end of it, he died. But when he died, it was horrible. It was terrible. Suffering was miserable. And there's a song, as I'm sure you're all familiar with, and the song is, "Where were you when they crucified my Lord? Where were you?" And so that question comes up over and over again. Where were you? Where were you when I was suffering so badly in the garden? Where were you when I was on trial? When I was in prison, in jail, being tortured? Where were you when I carried the cross? Where were you when they nailed me to the cross? Where were you when they laid me in the tomb? And the song continues, "Sometimes I wonder, wonder, wonder. Where were you?" Song is asking a question, and the question is directed toward us. However, right now the question is directed toward his disciples. Where were you? I was with you 3 years, and everything supposedly from your part was fine. And yet, this was all coming, and you saw it coming, but you weren't around when it came. You were gone. How could you do that? How could you? Now, while that is going on, and after he was laid in the tomb, where were the disciples? Well, they were basically cowards. They were huddled in a room, a cold, dark room now. That's what it felt like without Jesus. They were huddled there, scared to death. Fear was the issue. Shivering. How can a good God do this to him and us? How could that be possible? When he was on the cross, they saw him from a distance. We could at least see that part. And while he was on the cross, abandoned completely, a mob yelling and screaming at him, Where is your God now? Prove who you are. Come down from the cross. Then we'll believe. And then they yell out, he trusted in God. But now let God save him. As though trusting in God was something wrong. But now let God save him. Now. All there was agony and emptiness, so much pain and so much suffering. And so, how can a good God do this? Is he good? There's a wonderful symbol of this whole thing. It might surprise you a little bit, but the symbol is marriage. I don't mean that marriage is horrible, or that it's a cross. Might be at times. But I think marriage is a wonderful symbol, because in a marriage, it's a relationship. And in a relationship, there's two people. And from that point on, that they make a commitment to each other. To be, for them, is to be in relationship. That's the important thing. And it's not necessarily always easy. So we can ask, is marriage a marriage for the good times, but not the bad times? When the commitment in marriage is made, it's for both. That's what I remembered. The good times and the bad times. Sickness and in health. Rich or poor. Whatever there happens, it's for all of that. Those summarize just some of what marriage is about. And it is till death till we part. All the days of my life, the rest of my life, are in this marriage. And so, you're asked in a marriage to make a commitment to each other when you don't know the future. And you don't know whether the good times are going to overcome the bad times. Or sometimes the bad times will feel like they'll never end. And so, what do we do? Where do we go in a marriage? The one single thing in a marriage that I know all of you who are married absolutely know, and every marriage that I've dealt with in terms of healing marriages, it always comes down to the same thing, and sometimes to an extreme. And it's in the single word: fidelity. You will be faithful to me, and I will be faithful to you, no matter what. Always. Good times and bad times, sickness and health, what I just said. All of those things. And a marriage stands on fidelity. And if there's infidelity, then there has to be also then forgiveness. Because if there's no forgiveness, then there's no marriage. Working with two people, and this man was unfaithful for 18 years out of 20-some years. And he got caught. And he was totally ashamed. And very sorry, and spent a night in agony talking to God. He went through a profound, eventually, conversion. Needless to say, his wife was furious. And so, over the past year, I worked with him on that marriage. And the wife didn't trust him. I don't blame her. But it got to a point where this trust meant that he now had to obey her in everything. And that was impossible. And he couldn't be let out of her sight. That was impossible. And she didn't know quite what to do. And as I was talking with her, I was saying, trust is not in the other person that has been unfaithful. The trust has to be in you, because you're the one that has to learn to trust in him, and that's the hard part. Will he do it again? And so they have worked on that like I've seen no one else work in my life. And at this stage right now, with everything that they have done, and they've done everything right in trying to get through this, there's another kind of joy that has come back into that marriage, and a forgiveness. And it's powerful to see it. And it manifests itself in so many ways. We live with a God. Is the God just for the good times? Or is God also for the bad times? Do we have a good time God or a bad time God? That's the issue. Is a marriage just for a good time or a bad time too? There's a woman that said to me one time, she was a housekeeper where I lived in Atlanta, and she came crying and so on and so forth, and really hurt. And she says, what have I done wrong that this stuff is happening to me? And she described what the stuff was. I said, well, it doesn't mean you did anything wrong at all. Not at all. So, is God punishing her? That's what she was asking. And why is God punishing me? Well, who says God is punishing you? And as I like to put it, is God the great punisher in the sky? Or is there more to God than that? God is not simply a good time God. God's for all the times. Teresa of Avila states that rather clearly. Here she was, a great person, founding a whole new community, or renewing a whole community, with great difficulty, and for many years. And as she would go from one convent to the next, to the next, and to the next, she was either on a horse or being pulled by a horse or wherever it was. And it was had been raining, I guess, and the horse was going through like a stream, and she was on it, and the horse bucked and threw her off and into the water. And she looked up to God, and she simply shook her fist at God and said, no wonder you've got so few friends. Now she's a saint. It's okay to get mad at God. It's all right. Actually, anger is a good thing, because anger means you want to fight for what you have. And this is what, in that other marriage I was telling you about, this woman, at one time, we were talking, and I said, well, if you want to separate from and get out of this, why are you fighting so hard to stay? She was angry, and I said, well, the anger is good. You're fighting now for your marriage. And he is too. And you can yell and scream at God, it's perfectly all right. Raise your fist. And say, how can you allow this to happen? So God is present always. no matter what happens to us, where we are. The gospel is not a gospel of success, in spite of what Joel Osteen would say. His gospel is all the great stuff, and the reason you're now successful, and that means God loves you. That's really the bottom line. Well, what happens when you're not successful? Does God not love us? What happened with the disciples? They were not successful at all. We think we commit sin. Look at the one they committed. Far worse than what we do. So God is the God of maybe success too, but He's also the God where everything goes wrong. We don't like it that way. But this is a God who knows how we feel. He is a God that I would call, I know how you feel God. That might be His name. And God knows how we feel, especially because He became a human being and went through everything in spades. So He knows. God knows exactly how we feel. This is a God of compassion. A compassion who is Christ the King, but not like kings of the earth. He's not a God who is the king that's all powerful. God, the crucified God, was powerless. He could do nothing except be nailed to a cross and hang on it for about 5 hours and then die a wretched death. This is not a power God, but a powerless God. Someone like us, in all things except sin. This is the God. Our God is a servant God, not a God who came to be served. Our God is a wash your feet God, not that I want my feet washed. Totally different kind of God. Our God is a Savior God and a compassionate God, a foot-washing God who is all for us and not at all against us. God is not a condemning God. God is not like a lion in the bush, crouching, as it says in the scriptures, waiting to get you. And if there is a mortal sin that emerges in your life, gotcha. Now I can send you to hell. Why do so many people want others to go to hell? Not themselves. But in some religious experiences, the whole thing is, I'm baptized, and because I'm baptized, I'm saved. And if I'm saved, you have to be like me. And you have to be baptized, and just the way I was. And if you aren't, you're not saved. There are some people that go around and they talk about, are you saved? And you might say, well, I don't know, but are you baptized? Well, yeah. What church? Where I live, and you say, Catholic, well, you're not baptized. Sorry. You go to hell. That's the end result. It's severe. This is not the kind of God that we've got. God is not an angry God. God is this utterly compassionate God. He holds nothing against us. And so, with all He's done, especially on the cross, when everybody deserted Him, and all the good He did as He ministered to the people for 3 years, and all He did that was good, that even forgiving people, God asks only one thing of us. have faith in me. Have faith in me. And I say, I do. What does that mean? Someone will say, well, I have faith in God. I mean, I believe in God. So what? What's so big about that? Anybody can believe in God. Doesn't mean everybody does. But that is important. But that's not what I'm talking about. I talked about it the very second day of the Novena. And I talked about my Father. This is a God who doesn't want someone to believe in God. Faith that I believe in God is simply not enough. Biblical faith is I believe in my bones that this God will always be faithful to me. Faith is a relationship. It's not just one way, it's two ways. We're in a relationship like in a marriage. People relate to each other. It is a relationship, marriage. Well, so is the relationship with God. It's two ways. And God does all kinds of things and enacted for us all kinds of things. And then all God asks is, can you respond to me? And I will be faithful to you, not just because you respond to me, but I certainly am going to be faithful to you if you do respond to me. And faith is the response. I believe that you, God, will be faithful to me in the good times and the bad times, in success and non-success, in riches and in poverty. I believe you will be faithful to me always, and never will you back away. That's what our faith is about. And keep in mind, it's not a head thing. It's a relationship. I can say I believe in God, but that's not what I'm talking about. Believe in God is fine, but it has to be based on a relationship. Then say I believe in Jesus Christ. Well, what I believe when I say in Jesus Christ, I'm believing in what he says and what he teaches and so on and so forth. But I'm not talking about that, although that's very important. What I'm talking about is I believe, or I'd rather use the term, I have faith in you, that you have faith in me. And I will be faithful to you because you, I know, will be faithful to me. And even when I get to the point where I might deny the faith, then in 2 Timothy it says, and even if you deny it, I will still be faithful to you. Otherwise, I would deny who I am as God. You're my creature. I feel responsible for you. All I ask is that you respond to me and be as faithful as you can, like in a marriage. In a healing, I have to go quickly, there was a healing that took place with the Father and Son in the Scriptures. And this man comes up to Jesus and says, help me, my son is, basically his epilepsy. He's thrown into the fire and so on, and he said the demons are after him, which that's the way they put it. And Jesus looked and said, "What do you want me to do?" And he said, "I want you to heal him." And then all of a sudden he goes into one of these seizures. And the father cries out, "Help me." And Jesus said, "Why is it always this way?" And he says, and the man says again, "If you can, please help me. Heal my son." And Jesus looks at him and says, "What do you mean, if I can?" "Of course I can." And he heals him. That was a relationship. That man had faith in Jesus, even in the doubts. And then finally, in this whole thing, we see once again the 3 crosses. And we see Jesus rejected by everyone, including one person on the cross. And the other person we've talked about, simply placing all his faith in Jesus. There's a relationship between them on the cross, 2 crosses. In that relationship, he says those words that we have sung before. And the words, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom." You're in the kingdom, and he remembers you.